What's up, everybody? This is Excellence Personified, Brian Carson, and you are listening to the most excellent podcast in the world of professional wrestling, indie wrestling, any kind of wrestling. Doesn't matter. Wrestling cheers, baby.
Taking your way in the world today takes everything you got. Taking a break from all your worries sure would help a lot. Wouldn't you like to get away? Sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You want to go where you can see that troubles are all the same. You want to go where everybody knows your name. You want to go where you can see that troubles are all the same. You want to go where everybody knows your name.
And welcome back to Wrestling Cheers, where everybody knows your name, especially when you're Excellence Personified. This is Wrestling Cheers, where we like to go over things in the Northeast Ohio independent wrestling scene. We preview shows, we review shows, and sometimes we even have interviews along the way. This is an interview episode where we are interviewing Brian Carson from AIW. But before we go any further, this show is brought to you by the Trending Topics Network and Iron Tiger MMA. Please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you're listening to this fine podcast at: Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, YouTube, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Podbean. WrestlingCheers.podbean.com. I don't know how many people actually listen to us on iHeartRadio. I don't understand even how this show got on iHeartRadio, but it is on there. I applied to it twice. I was never told yay or nay. And our feed, like if you listen to us on any other application, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, YouTube, Spotify, and Podbean, everything, as soon as a new episode comes up, the rest are updated. iHeartRadio is like a month or two behind in the past, I forget how many episodes. There's like doubles, but it's not every episode on there. So I don't know. I've tried everything on my end, and since I don't know how to update and fix that, I mean, if you listen to us on there, you prefer to listen to us on there, but you're listening to us on something else, my apologies. I've tried everything, and when I even got a hold of iHeartRadio at one point, they were just like, oh, well, you can't do it this way. It has to be another way that I was never told about, and I don't know. I'm just kidding. Anyway, rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. Definitely help us out with some reviews. We're not doing a contest right now, but if you're listening to us and you enjoy what you're listening to, or you have some sort of feedback, that is the perfect opportunity. You don't have to give us a 5-star review. As someone who prefers to work to strive to get better, if I'm given a 3-star review, a 4-star review, 2-star, 1-star, and I'm told why, then that's something that we will work on. And, going forward, and especially if you think this is a great show, please give us a 5-star review. I just sat down and gave every podcast that I'm following a 5-star review. I did the normal one, just a star rating. I didn't actually write a review, but either way, whatever you do is greatly appreciated to this podcast. And if you want to get a hold of us, we are on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Facebook.com/WrestlingCheers, Twitter.com/WrestlingCheers, and Instagram.com/WrestlingCheers. Email, if you so choose to desire, WrestlingCheers@gmail.com. And we have the merch store over at whatamaneuver.net. I am your host. Don't remember if I said that earlier. My name is Heavy Set, and we have an interview, a very special, well, I don't want to say special. This was a fun interview with Brian Carson. It is recorded before the last AIW show, before Zero Cool, and it was outside. And this is something that I mentioned recently, and I just want to express it one more time, and that's, this was recorded outside of the Gorilla Smoked Barbecue in Lakewood, Ohio. We did get some feedback when we mentioned this last week. If you're in that area, please check them out. If AIW, or when AIW returns next year, I will be stopping in. The food smelled amazing, and it's something that gets talked about early on in the interview, and I just want to put it out there that Chef Jim, great guy, gave us some shit briefly for basically trespassing on his property. And there's even one point that I attempt to tip him for his hospitality, and he doesn't want any of it. So, kind of sucked, but you'll vaguely hear it. You won't hear what's talking about. Try to tip him $10, so just be like, hey, thank you for allowing me on your property. I'm sorry we trespassed. And he even gave us free water. So, like I said, I'll never stop saying good things about them. So let's wrap this up, and let's go to a commercial, and we'll go into the interview. We will go into another commercial, and then we will come back to end the show.
What's up, everybody? This is Alex Worldwide Keller coming to you live here for Thrift Store. Wait, it's not Thrift Store, Driver? Wait a minute. Wrestling who? Wrestling Cheers, where everybody knows your name. I know my name. It's Alex Worldwide Keller, and you're listening to Wrestling Cheers. And I want to tell you all about Wrestling Cheers t-shirts at whatamaneuver.net. It's a heck of a shirt because where everybody knows your name, and wrestling is a game, and the game is pain. And pain is what we feel, and what we feel, it's real. Whatamaneuver.net, Wrestling Cheers, do it up for your boy, Alex Worldwide Killer.
All right, we are back here on the podcast. It is very lovely afternoon here in Cleveland, Ohio. We are at the Gorilla Smoked Barbecue right next to the Winchester. I want to give a shout out to them. If you are in the Lakewood area, please stop by there anytime that they are open, because the owner did drop by,
Chef Jim,
and asked us why we were on his property. And if you're in this area, please stop and get some food. Wonderful, wonderful owner. I could not say anything else nice about him. Granted, he's in the earshot of me. He can hear me, but he's not forcing me to say any of this stuff. I appreciate hospitality one way or another. So as you should very well know, on the podcast this week, I have none other than Excellence Personified Brian Carson. Brian Carson, how are you this afternoon?
Afternoon. It's the sun's still out. I'm doing good. Again, we're here at the Gorilla Smoked Barbecue Pit next to the Winchester. Chef Jim came up, gave us some waters, and giving us a nice aroma while we're sitting here too. Some beef ribs, he said, are smoking right now, and they smell delicious.
If there's one thing in this world I love barbecue. And that's what, I could smell it when we got here.
Yeah.
But I didn't know if it was next door.
There's a bunch of bars and restaurants. I don't know who was cooking something, but cooking those beef ribs. And if he wants to let us try and sample some of them, he is more than welcome to do that.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Love that smell. I can smell the wood chips burning.
No, it's a wonderful aroma.
Jim, it smells good. We were just saying, it smells really good. Got the nod of approval.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So, Carson, how's it been going lately with you, man?
Well, it's just good to be back in AIW. I know this is home for me. Right? Because it's where I started, where I began my career, and just being out for those 6-7 months, however long it was, working here and there, probably when I shouldn't have been while I was still recovering, and then coming back in the summertime for a few places was all right, but this is home. And then when I came back at Wrestle Rager, just being back in front of the crowd that I know, the venue that I know, the people that I know, it made those 6 or 7 months of hell well worth it.
It was a very interesting, 2018.
To say the least.
Yeah. What was it like? It was early in the year, and
January.
Was it 1 or 2? Because I felt like there was a lot in one small time span.
Yeah. October of a year ago, actually around a year ago this time, is when I found 2 lumps on my body.
Yeah, okay, I remember that
and
now.
I let it go for a while. I told literally 2 people because I just had to tell somebody, just because I was going insane. And then finally around the first week in January, I went and got an ultrasound done. And I actually wrestled the Duke at a UXWA event on a Sunday. I got the ultrasound done on that Thursday. And they said, well, we'll have the results for you on Monday. I was like, oh, well, that's great. I don't want to have a lot on my mind this weekend then, I guess. Wrestled Duke on that Sunday. Monday morning they called, and they were benign. They weren't, there's no cancer in them or anything. And what was after that, I was like, okay, I got a new lease on my wrestling life. Because I thought, I was thinking worst case scenario that my career was over. And the next week after that was at Death Row. Was that the event? Was it Death Row?
Death Row was full.
Yeah, it was
January.
Yeah, it was when we hit with Dan and I were in that number one contenders match with Philly Marino, Eric, and Bobby, and oh God, who else was in that match? I can't remember, but I just I was like, okay, now I'm gonna use this as a. Again, like I said, I thought I had a second lease on my wrestling life, and I want to show everyone why I belong here, why I love doing what I'm doing, and then 2 concussions in one match, and it just everything came crashing down, and it was just like, man, where do I go from here? You know?
Yeah.
And then when we had the title match in February, I didn't feel right going into the match. But I didn't want to back out of it because I know what the match meant to Dan and the Swoggle and the PB. And it meant a lot to me, too. It's not like I just didn't care about the match or anything, but like I knew a lot of workers can attest to this. Before you step through the curtain, you always have this anxious, nervous, scared feeling. And take it easy, Chef Jim. All right.
Please.
Okay, I want to.
Hey, you know,
I wanted to show you that I was grateful. Like if you had turned it down, then fine.
Okay.
You got it. I admire you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
When you're open, I'm definitely stopping in because
You got 2 customers for life.
Yeah, that smell is delicious.
Chef Jim, everybody.
Yes.
A good man. Where was I? Yeah. Going, but like that nervous, excited, scared feeling. I didn't have it going before. I just like I knew something was going to happen, and just like as soon as the match started, as soon as everything kept, it was like all throughout the match. It just felt like somebody was like one of those light switches. You just turn the dial and the light slowly. It felt like that all throughout the match, and I just like knew, and I was just telling myself, just get through it. You know, here we go. Match is almost over. You'll be fine. When I took that spill off the turnbuckle to the outside, as soon as I landed, just all the like energy just like left my body. Like I couldn't stand. I didn't hear the crowd around me. I mean, Clemens was standing. Jay Clemens was the referee. He was standing over me for like 2 or 3 minutes going, Carson, like trying to get my attention. And I didn't know like what the hell was going on. And he walked me to the back and I almost passed out. And thankfully, somebody went and got Chandler's mom, who is, she's a nurse, and she came to me and looked me over, and she just said, "You got to go to the hospital right now." Yeah. She's like, "You're slurring your speech, your pupils are dilated, you can't stand. You got to go to the hospital." And so when I got there,
and that was too like the night of everybody went to the hospital.
Got hurt. Magnum got hurt. Lawler got hurt. I think Magnum and I were at the same hospital actually. I thought
you all 3 were, but it was like slightly different times.
Well,
we're in the waiting room at slightly different times.
I talked to both of them because we all kind of like kept in touch with each other to see how each other was doing.
Yeah.
And Tom just said that that's when he broke his
Jesus Christ.
He snapped his arm against Tom's neck.
His arm.
Oh man, like broken is an understatement. That's tough to watch. But he just said he was just going to have some pins put in it back. He's going to wait till he flies home. Everything. Magnum said he was all right. Just like I think he busted his lip or his jaw or something like that. And they were asking me how I was doing because Magnum knew about the first set of concussions.
Yeah.
And Tom didn't. Tom just said, like, what were you doing in the ring? Like, what were you doing? I was like, it was a title match. I had to, I didn't want to let down everyone else that was in the match. I wanted to have this too. But they told me at the hospital, they said we look at the CAT scan, you definitely have like not a lesion, but like it's a little like dark spot on your brain.
Yeah.
And they said that's this. You basically what happened to you is that your brain was not healed yet, and it just shut your body down because it couldn't take anymore.
Yeah, and we're in an era right now where concussions are high up there on concern list, whether you're an NFL fan or
not just in pro wrestling,
MMA. Like I mean, those are probably your top 3. But I know obviously you get concussions, maybe hockey, basketball, baseball. It's gonna be big.
Baseball players get it a lot too when they run into the wall.
But I feel like with those, that is such a big deal, and we've seen wrestlers, their career take away. Look at Corey Graves.
Yeah,
had so many, and like he's got lucky that he was given a second shot on a different career within wrestling and still with WWE, and depends on who you are. Like I feel like he's knocking it out of the park. Other people are like, oh, he sucks.
He's doing a fantastic job.
There's definitely a lot of people like, oh, he sucks, and I'm like, I don't know, dude. Like for what he's doing, like I think he's great.
Man, dude, if you don't think Corey Graves is a good commentator, then just put it on mute, honestly. Because, they're
You're a good commentator.
I know, thank you very much. I know I am, but thank you. No, I mean, commentary is really subjective to a lot of people. I mean, there's the people that grew up with, Lawler and JR, Monsoon and Bobby Heenan, Monsoon, Ventura, Shivani and Tanay and all that stuff. But I mean,
McMahon.
Yeah,
McMahon what a maneuver!
What a maneuver! 1, 2, 3. We kicked out of the last second. It's
Michaels with the cover.
Right,
1,
right.
2,
exactly.
yes.
Oh God, very good impression. I was going to say, I've heard a lot of Vince McMahon impressions, and that's by far at the top of the list.
I can only probably do that one because that incident. I mean, that's WrestleMania 12.
Yes.
So I can recall that one.
Yeah, he got lucky.
Man, I'm in the same boat with you. Like, I like them, but I like them both.
Yeah.
I love, because this is the way I look at it. Like, when we were growing up, like, when Bret, we're talking like 92 Bret, 93 Bret was cool. Even 94 Bret.
Yeah.
He was cool as fuck.
Yes, he was.
Like, you wanted to be that kid in the front row.
To get those sunglasses.
To get those shades.
And I tried many times.
Dude,
I tried, but
I remember early 2000s, like when I became more of an adult, got my first credit card, and I was like, I went on eBay. I'm like, I want to find these things. At that time, it was like, if anybody was selling them, it was like $300-400.
Oh, yeah.
Luckily, Bret finally stepped up and said, okay, I'm going to start selling these.
Yep.
So when I met him in 2013, I want to 12 or 13, that was like big for me.
Yeah.
To be like, I'm like, because he sold, like, I think I was just I got his first DVD signed, and he was selling them right there. And I'm like, oh, then I got it. Like, I kind of wanted two, but I'm like, I'll just get one. I'll open it and I'll every once in a while, I'll put it on.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's still cool.
It's still cool, man. It's that's something we grew up with.
Yeah.
And then to have the opportunity, like when I met him back in 2014, like I had him put I put a video up on there. I had him put the sunglasses on me. I'm like, this is a childhood dream come true. I don't care that I'm in the business now and that I was 28 years old at the time. I said, you're my hero. You're my idol. You're putting these sunglasses on my head.
Oh, yeah. Like it was, because I know when I met him was right after surgery, so he was actually like sitting in a chair the whole time, which kind of sucks. So there's like a picture of me like hunched over with him. But on the flip side of that, because he was the guy for those many years, and then Shawn turned into a good guy.
Yes, he did.
And everything after the WrestleMania 10 ladder match, which is a great match. Actually, I think that pay-per-view started off like the first two matches were Bret and Owen and that ladder match?
The ladder match I thought was a little bit down on the card.
Maybe third. It was I swear to God. It was
like four, because I remember I think the Savage and Crush match happened and then the ladder match happened.
But I know it was somewhere towards the beginning of the card. And,
it definitely.
And those
was.
two matches just killed it. But everything after that with Shawn turned into a good guy. And then all of a sudden, like I was rooting for him. I'm like, oh yeah, the Click and I remember the merch at the time. Obviously, Bret had the glasses. Yeah. Shawn and Diesel both had their own like leather gloves.
The gloves, yeah,
and Shawn Michaels too.
And the hat,
the sunglasses, the hat, or and you can get those all over print shirts, which everybody remembers. Razor and Bret. Maybe you remember Bret, but Shawn had one too. Yeah. And it got up to that.
You're bringing back all the memories,
dude. Yeah,
those live events at the Gun. Oh man, you're bringing back all
those live events at not the Gun, Richfield Coliseum.
Richfield at the Coliseum too.
My first show was WrestleMania 10 Revenge Tour.
Oh man,
I
was only, how old was I at WrestleMania 10? I was only, I was 94. I was about to be 6 years old.
I was 8.
Yeah. So, my first event was actually, oh God, what was it? It was a summer. It was I went when I was like 2 years old. My uncle took me.
Okay.
And I think it was like the Survivor Series 90 or 91, whenever like they came here with 90 or 91.
They came a couple of times. The one
2 years in a row they came here.
I think it was 91, 92 because 92 was
Bret and Shawn, the Intercontinental. Shawn was the IC champion.
Yeah, and then that was also right after Warrior left.
Yeah, and that was Savage and Perfect against Flair and Razor.
Yeah, so such a crazy event to happen back then.
I mean, I put in the early 90s up against any era of wrestling.
See, that's the thing. Everybody's like, I love the Attitude Era. I'm like, you know what?
I love it too, but
I love the new generation, like, because I love Bret. I love Shawn. I love Diesel. Even it was a little bit before them, but even like, I kind of liked Corny Crush.
Yeah.
Like no one ever calls him that. I just came up with that, but literally, like, Kona Crush was kind of Corny Crush.
I mean,
but you hear that theme, that with the guitar, then da 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 da.
Right.
I
It's
love
funny you
that.
bring those guys up, too, because a lot of those guys had a lot to do with the Attitude Era, too.
Yeah.
Bret, Shawn. Shawn for, like, the beginning of it, at least. Razor, Nash. I mean, even Hogan.
Yeah.
You know? But I think that speaks to, like, how good a workers those guys were. That they could be part of two completely separate generations of wrestling and play a major key role in both of them. You know, because people talk about all the time that the screw job is what started the character of Mr. McMahon.
Oh yeah.
And then Cornette says it a million times. Right after that, you had The Rock, you had Austin, and you had the perfect heel on television to go with those two combustible elements. And then WCW just absolutely failed when Bret went there because they had he was the hottest wrestler in the world after the screw job happened. Mm-hmm. And then they bring him there, and surprise, surprise, he joins the NWO and along with everyone else. But yeah, man, that era of wrestling, that early 90s, even the mid 90s when business was down. If you go back and watch
that's
the events,
a new generation.
Yeah, it was a transition period. They just lost Hogan. They just lost Savage. Flair came back to WCW. They were on the verge of getting Razor and Diesel. They were trying to get Shawn. They were trying to get Taker. They were trying to get everybody.
Yeah.
You know? And in the end, I guess you just chalk it up to Vince's writing. That's what. Well, Austin and Rock had a lot to do with it, too.
I feel like it's the 1-2 punch. Again, this was within a year and a half of each other of punch one being Austin 316.
Yeah.
If that didn't happen, I don't know where everything else would be, because then the other punch was Montreal Screwjob and the Mr. McMahon character.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if Austin 316 doesn't happen, I don't know where Austin's career would have been. I'm sure he would have been still a great talent, okay?
Yeah.
But that promo is what made people open their eyes going okay, he's not Stunning Steve Austin anymore. He's not the ringmaster. He's Stone Cold.
Yeah.
And people could really get behind that character.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he just wore the black boots, the black tights. He looked like he wore jean shorts when he wasn't wrestling and a leather vest. He drank beer, and he flipped everyone off. Mm-hmm. You know, a lot of people could relate to that.
Yeah.
And then once, Vince started the whole Mr. McMahon character and he's given it to his boss, I mean, people were living out a fantasy.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's why people bought into it so much. And then, the stuff with Bret, I will say this, Bret played a perfect crybaby in that feud.
Oh, dude. I remember having a conversation with friends of mine years ago about, Austin and The Rock. And I'm like, who really made Stone Cold? Bret Hart. There were so many early on feuds and everything. Bret really did a lot for him.
Bret knew that Austin was the future. If you read Bret's book, he says, I knew that Steve was the future of this business. I had to get him over. He's Bret knew that, his time wasn't, he didn't think he was done, but he was in his late 30s. He's how much longer can I actually stay on top?
Yeah.
Steve's the future. He was only 28, 29 years old, or maybe he just turned 30 at the time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's got his whole career ahead of him. So, I mean, that's why one of the very few things I agree with Meltzer, because I go back and forth with him a lot, is I really think that 13 submission match is either number one or number two greatest WrestleMania matches of all time. Just when you look at the psychology and you look at how well the double turn, that double turn could have backfired very easily, because Bret was still very popular at the time.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Austin was very popular too, and there were a lot of people behind Austin, but Bret was already at legend status.
Oh, yeah.
At that point. And the fact that he got that crowd to absolutely turn on him and get right behind Austin, and Austin had a lot to do with it too. I'm not saying it was all Bret, but Bret, just the way he put that match together and the way he behaved and the way he acted, it's a testament. That's when people tell me, when they look at me sideways when I say Bret Hart's probably the greatest wrestler of all time, and I give my opinion, I'm you guys, it has nothing to do with just what he does in the ring. It's all the stuff he did outside of the ring too, what goes into it. I understand most of my friends either if they do watch wrestling, they're not as involved as I am, obviously.
Yeah,
but it's just and I don't try to peek the curtain back so they can get an inside look at how the business works and everything, but it's just when you ask somebody on the street, who's your favorite wrestler? Oh, Hulk Hogan or The Rock or Austin. Well, you're not wrong. Those are all
it's your
great.
favorite.
Right. Everyone has their own preference. I have a buddy of mine who absolutely hates The Rock and absolutely hates Daniel Bryan. He just can't stand either one of them. And I'm looking and going, those are two of the greatest workers that ever existed in this business. I mean, Bryan, with the way he can the way he performs in the ring, and Rock, Rock didn't even have to wrestle. All he had to do was put a microphone in front of him, and he was going to entertain you.
Yeah.
But again, it goes back to commentary. It's personal preference. You don't like The Rock? You don't like The Rock. I know a lot of people that don't like Bret Hart.
There's so many people.
Many people that don't like Bret Hart, and it's just like, hey, man, I hate Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings. I haven't read one of those books. I've tried watching the movies. I really have. My ex-girlfriend made me go to see all 8 or 9 or 10 or however many of those Harry Potter movies were. I'm just not into it. Yeah. But between the two of them, 14 movies, 11 Oscars, and like $4 billion box office says I'm wrong.
Yeah, it's definitely a preference thing, because I look at Bret and I think of like it's the where we grew up, and it's just that era, like I said, him and Shawn, going back to that WrestleMania 12. Yeah. Which I don't know if I've told you this. I know I've said it on the podcast a lot, but it's one of my favorite. WrestleMania 12 was on my 10th birthday. And that was my two favorite wrestlers going up against each other.
And the match gets a bad rap because of how slow it started.
It's an hour. It's fucking long.
Exactly. It was at an hour to work. What do you want them to do? From fucking bell to bell, just going like all out? They can't do that, man. It wasn't gonna be what everybody wanted to see, if that's what happened. There's just no, I mean, like by the time the 45th, 50th minute comes on, these guys were going to have nothing left.
Yeah.
Again, it's just how you build a match, psychology, all that stuff.
It's one of those two things that, like, being alive in the moment, like when that was happening that night, watching it, like it was weird because, like I said, those are my two favorite, but I lean more towards Shawn because I wanted that boyhood dream to come true. Yeah. If that were to happen today, you would get fans being like, it's Shawn Michaels is going to win. Like, come on, man. Like, you're forcing Shawn Michaels down our throat.
It started kind of, I remember the WrestleMania 15 match between Austin and Rock. There was a sign, if you go back and watch it, that says, I bet Austin wins. So even then, that was 99. So fans were starting to smarten up a lot to, like, they could, and was it a little obvious that Austin was going to win?
Or is it 98? Wait a minute, you're talking about
WrestleMania 15, not 14.
I was thinking 14.
No. I mean, that was kind of obvious that Austin was going to win that too, the way they built it. But I mean, 15, there's a sign in the crowd that says, I bet Austin wins.
Okay, yeah.
And again, like, is it a little obvious? Yeah, but like, watch the crowd go nuts when the 3 count happens. Yeah. That whole place just erupts. And like, whenever you hear that glass shatter and the music, go back and watch Raw on the network. Yeah. And every time Austin's music hits, the crowd just jumps out of their feet. And like, so sometimes you have to do the obvious thing. And WrestleMania 12, the obvious thing, as much as I don't like to admit it, was, having Shawn go over.
Yeah, and I even look at it too, like, I don't care what people say, and I'm a big moviegoer. Movies are kind of predictable. Yeah,
especially nowadays.
Well, not even, like, dude, they're almost all going to be happy endings.
Yeah.
It's very rare to find ones that don't. I mean, granted, there are some I can think of. I just think of
any Stephen King movie has an unhappy ending.
I'll say the movie I just seen today, A Star Is Born, not necessarily a happy ending, but I understand why, and that is a remake. But
right. They remade this like the 3rd time they remade it, right? Because like Streisand did one, and then Judy Garland did one, if I remember.
No, those are all remakes too. Because before that, I just watched this week. I watched the original.
The Garland one wasn't the original one.
No,
jeez, I need to catch up with my movies.
That was 1940 something. And the original was 1937.
Jesus God. How many times are you going to remake this movie?
Oh, dude, here's the crazy thing. Like, I know people bitch like, oh, movies are long nowadays. That Garland version, 2 hours and 55 minutes.
Back in the 30s?
40s. Still.
How the hell did people sit through that?
Probably because movies were like there was no home market.
Yeah, so that's a good point. Yeah.
And hell, I don't think TV wasn't a big thing at that time. So
not then. Yeah,
you're gonna go to the movie theater to get entertained because you have that or the radio.
Right.
But you want something visual.
Right.
So yeah, like I started to watch the Garland one. And then I saw how long it was. I'm like, I gotta go to bed.
Yeah.
I can't sit here for 3 hours.
The hell with that.
But the original, like, I can tell where they fall. Like, it's definitely the one thing I love about remakes, especially something that old and where they're going to update and they're going to change a lot of stuff. You find those little things that, like, okay, for example, the lead actor in the original, his last name, the character's last name was, why is it slipping
here?
Like
White Bomb or something?
No. It was Maine. His last name was Maine.
Maine?
Yeah. Okay. And in this movie, Bradley Cooper's last name was Maine. So when he said his name, I was like, haha, got it. Oh, okay. Got it. And there's like storyline things that are definitely the same. Like, okay, without ruining anything, in the original, which, God, 30s, like this guy goes into rehab for being an alcoholic.
Wow, they actually had rehab back then.
Yeah. We're such millennials. But anyway, we go to this new one. Yeah, he goes to rehab too for drinking, and it's just like, oh, okay. Like there was those little things I could tell that they like pulled over, and even like how the original movie ended was kind of how this one ended. And there was a particular line that I liked. I'm not ruining it for anybody, but I was like, oh, cool. Like, anyway, how do we get talking? Oh, movie. Okay.
Predictability.
Yeah. Most of your movies, like, for example, I'm trying to think of like really good, okay, Marvel movies.
Yeah.
Oh, but Infinity War, which I knew, we could talk about that.
Right,
I knew that was happening.
Another podcast just on that movie.
I knew that was happening. It would happen. I was the only person in the movie theater with this big grin going.
I kind of knew it was going to happen like that, but just like I didn't
actually
expect
see it.
They actually see it, and like how many of them actually? I didn't think it was going to be that many. I knew a couple of them. I thought for sure, like Tony was going to be one of them for sure.
No, I knew. I thought for sure. I just thought because like I knew that like his biggest fear was to be the only one left, and that's eventually like what happened because he doesn't know what happened on Earth because he's on Titan. But I think the big thing is
to see it
going like because I'll get back to my point, but going to Civil War, there hasn't been a hug it out moment.
No,
with Tony and Steve.
You're right.
So I figured if we didn't get it in Infinity War, which they didn't even cross paths,
right? Because
they wanted to keep them apart. So we're going to get to that point in the part 2 where they're going to hug it out. It's going to be like, I love you, Steve. I love you, Tony. Like, I'm sorry. We need to work this out. We need to do all this. But anyway, my whole point is Marvel movies, all but that movie, it's a happy ending.
Yeah.
Oh, here comes the Mandarin. Okay, the Mandarin's going to be defeated.
Right.
Oh, here's Red Skull. Red Skull's going to be defeated.
Yeah.
Oh, here's Ego, the Living Panda. It's when you see the bad guy just in your head, at least this is what I do as a wrestling fan. I go, okay, this is the ending. But how's it going to happen? A quote that I've used from EC3, he told me, we were talking about Impact one night. We had the live comedy show.
Yeah.
And he just got done doing his interview with Colt. He came down and we were talking, and like something was going to happen on Impact that night. And he's like, I hope you got your DVR set for Impact. It's going to be a crazy night. And I was like, yeah, like I think I read what's going to happen, but I'm going to still watch it anyway. But he says, spoilers only tell you half the story. The real story is getting there. Yeah, everybody knows how Lord of the Rings is going to end.
Right.
But you watch it if you like it. I don't. So
I don't either.
Both
I tried. I really tried.
You know that those villains are going to be defeated. You want to know how.
Yeah. That's a really good point because yeah, I mean, like if you want to go ahead and read spoilers on the internet, go ahead. I mean, that's your prerogative. I understand why people do it.
Yeah.
But I mean, okay, here. Like the whole like WrestleMania this year, like everybody for sure thought, okay, Roman Reigns he's finally going to go over on Lesnar, this and that. And the match, say what you will about the match, say what you want to say about the match, whatever. I mean, calling that audible saved it.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, and I remember because I was in South Carolina for it. I had a wedding to go to. We were at the groom's house watching it, and like when the 3 count happened, and then we all just like looked at each other going, what the hell? Like, that's not what's supposed to happen. But it's like, you know what? That's one of the cool things about this business. You can think the way something's going to go, or you can think that, like, okay, I read this, so obviously this is going to happen.
Yeah.
But, like, anytime, again, if you watch it play out, that's great. If you don't want to watch it play out, you know what? And you just want to go to the spoiler, that's your prerogative, too.
Oh, yeah.
But just at least give it a shot. Give it a chance. So that's a good point that he brought up, too.
So, yeah, it's like we know... How do we? That's what I get into really bad tangents sometimes. That's what this whole conversation.
I'm telling you, man, it's the smell of these beef ribs. They got us. They just got us mesmerized right now.
We just got I just got a first whiff of it for since he left, and I was just kind of like, oh, so there is still some there.
I'm getting really hungry. I mean, we gotta. We have to break into that smoke or whatever he's doing.
Yeah, I can't believe that. But anyway, one thing I do want to talk about is. Since we're both sports fans.
Yes.
Dude, how about the Browns this year?
Oh, Baker, babe. Baker down. I started that hashtag. As soon as I saw that DX video somebody did of him dancing.
Okay. Yeah.
Baker down, baby. And then Dustin Alberti, shout out to you. Remember, he sent me a message on Facebook going, dude, I'm going to start that. I'm going to make T-shirts of that hashtag Baker down. And I said, go for it, man. I don't care. But
it'll go great with that Baker Mania headbands that I know are going around.
I noticed it. Right when they played Ohio State last year, and he walked right up the midfield and planted that flag at midfield at Ohio Stadium, and I know that pissed a lot of people off. Pissed me off a little bit too because I'm an Ohio State fan and whatever. But I looked at my brother and I said that took balls. That took a lot of balls to do that. And then he shoved it down our throats. They beat the hell out of Ohio State. And then he almost beat Georgia in the playoff by himself.
Yeah.
He is not playing defense. I mean, they blew this lead, this and that. He's not playing defense.
Yeah.
They scored in the second half. And I just don't understand how he just didn't get a shot in training camp. I'm still trying to I'm trying to look for a reason where I can go, okay, I can see why Hugh Jackson didn't want, I can't. You saw, if he looked this way in training camp, what made you think that Tyrod Taylor was going to be a better quarterback? There's nothing that could have made me see. I understand the bridge thing. I understand, but he's a rookie. Let him take his lumps.
But I look at it like this. Dorsey was responsible for drafting
Mahomes, right? Is that what you're saying?
Before that.
Where else was he? Where else did he draft?
Aaron Rodgers.
That's right. He came from Green Bay.
And
I'm forgetting that.
And Aaron Rodgers sat on the bench.
It's 3 years he sat.
And could you imagine, if Packer fans knew what was sitting there at a younger age, they would have been like, oh, no, Favre, get out of here. You haven't won us a Super Bowl in 10 years. Get the fuck out of here.
Seriously.
So I kind of looked at it like that. I was like, you know what? We're not a playoff team.
No, and that's another thing. We won 0 games last year. I mean, if you win 1 or 2, you doubled your win total.
Well, here's the crazy thing about this season. Everybody wants them to go at least 8-8.
They can go 7-7-1, but
well, going into the season, it was 8-8. So actually, 7-7-1. You're still short a game.
Right. God, I can't. That's why I'm a wrestler. All right, and I don't need one of these
concussions,
9 to 5s. Oh God, CTE's a motherfucker. Let me tell you.
Anyway, okay, let's say they win 8 games, so it's 8-7-1.
They might make the playoffs.
You would consider that a great year, right?
Are you kidding me? Yes, we won 0 games last year.
Okay, well, I'm getting there.
Give me 8.
So next year we keep Hugh Jackson. Because if we go 8-7-1, that means Hugh Jackson for 3 years will have an average of 3 wins per year.
Yeah, I know. I look at that and I go, how can you keep this guy? I understand the roster he had his first 2 years was god awful. Joe Thomas has actually gone on the rate and said this a lot.
I was at that last game.
That they were intentionally tanking. They made these draft picks so they can get they made the deal with Houston to get the 4th pick because they knew Houston was going to be terrible. They didn't know it was going to be the 4th pick, but they knew Houston was going to be bad. So they were going to have a top 10 pick. They drafted the team they did so that they would tank and get the 1st pick. So that's not all on Hugh. Man, some of these decisions, he still doesn't know what a timeout is. Still doesn't know how to use one. And I understand that giving up the play calling to him wasn't ideal. He wanted to bring on Todd Haley, but he wanted to have a say in playing the call. This is why you brought Todd Haley in. Mm-hmm. Let him call the plays. Let Greg Williams handle it. You're supposed to manage the game from start to finish, Hugh. And I'm sorry, man, but when you win, he's won 3 games in 3 years here.
Yeah.
They win 8. That's great. But he's still got 30 plus losses in 3 years.
Yeah.
How do you bring him back?
Here's my prediction for next year. And I think next year, Todd Haley's going to be the coach.
I think that too.
I think Dorsey hired him as in listen,
right.
I'm giving you 1 more year because this town has had just a horrible turnover with coaches. I'm going to give him 1 more year.
Plus the Haslams wanted him back too.
Yeah, so I'm giving him 1 more year, but he's going to get pushed out and you will be ready to take over this team when they're going to be even better. So then he'll imagine this. Okay, we win. My guess is I go 4 wins. I don't think
I'll say 6.
But we're gonna. We've had so many close games.
That's the thing. It's
great. Yeah. We have not gotten just blown the fuck out.
No, I don't.
And that's good.
I don't think they're going to either.
Which I do want games that are competitive. Even though going back to this, as of this recording, this past Ravens game, I did not feel like we were winning that whole game. It was just we got a lead. Doesn't feel like it.
Right.
I feel like we're a touchdown away from fuck this.
Well, because a week ago they put up 40-some points against Oakland, and in one bad spot by those fucking referees, and we should be. We're a field goal kicker and a good referee away from being 5-0.
Yeah, but at the same time, that's football.
It's football. It's the breaks. I understand that, but I love Baker Mayfield. Mm-hmm. I was behind him the whole time. I wanted Bradley Chubb, even though I love Denzel Ward. But obviously, John Dorsey knows more than me about football.
That's the thing. I remember when they drafted Baker, literally Rich Eisen, his reaction when they said Baker Mayfield, wow. Yeah. Oh my, they took Mayfield. Wow.
Right.
And
why didn't you take Darnold? Why didn't you know?
As a fan base, yeah. But here's what I looked at. I'm when we drafted Manziel, I was celebrating.
I was too. I loved it.
I was like, we got Matt
I'm like,
Thompson.
here comes the playoffs, baby, Johnny Football. And then you watched him play, and it was like, oh, shit.
Yeah, so I go, you know what? I wanted us to draft Manziel, and he turned out to be shit, so what the fuck do I know?
Right.
So I'm like, Baker Mayfield might be good. Well, watching him in that first game when he played against the Jets, just how quick he released the ball, I was like, I was wrong.
Oh, man. I remember the first pass that Landry dropped.
Yeah.
You could just see it on his face. Jarvis Landry's got some of the best hands in the NFL.
Yeah.
If you go back and look at his face, he's just like, I didn't expect the ball to get there that quick. Oh, my God.
I swear the cameras have trouble catching up. Yeah. There's times where, the ball's going, and then, as it's about to go out of screen, it's just about to start to pan.
That's John Elway's speed on a football, man. And that's what that guy, who I think it was Eric Weddle on the Ravens said. This guy's going to be the next John Elway or Brett Favre. That's how hard he can throw the ball.
Yeah, so
I'll take that. They both won rings, so I'll take that.
So going back to what I was saying, I think that we have a year where we win 4, and then that's where Haslam step in or Dorsey steps in, says, "All right, Hugh, we're going to get rid of you. Yeah. Sorry, and we're going to move Todd Haley up," and then Todd Haley gets an 8-win, 9-win team. We go to the playoffs. He's going to look like the savior.
Oh, yeah. I tell you, the first coach that doesn't have to win it, but brings the Browns to a Super Bowl, we'll get a statue erected here. I'm telling you, I'm serious.
I've said the same thing. I said, whatever quarterback takes us to the Super Bowl, in between the AFC Championship game and the Super Bowl, there will be a statue erected outside of the stadium.
Yeah.
And
You're absolutely right.
That's what we are. And also, I think that will be the end of Bernie Kosar's coast in Northeast Ohio. It's you got to say AFC Championship game. We were really young at that time. I think he's kind of cool. I think he's a dickhead. Yeah. I'll throw in a side story. I went to the Pro Football Hall of Fame a couple years back, and it was the 30th anniversary of the '86 Browns.
Okay,
and they got all these Browns players. Guess what? One player did not show up.
Wasn't there?
Bernie did not show up.
Really?
Yep. And of course, he actually tweeted out a picture of him earlier that day, at home. And it's just you piece of shit.
That doesn't sound like Bernie, man, because he always does appearances. Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So
I wonder if he's got something against the Hall of Fame or something.
I don't know. But basically, I felt in Northeast Ohio, he's had this coast, you're our best quarterback ever.
I mean,
in the 90s, okay, great. But
since Otto Graham,
ever since then, he's coasted on that. And LeBron won a championship, but football is still number one in Northeast Ohio.
It's always going to be a football town.
So
always going to be a football town.
So if any quarterback does it, it's going to be, sorry, Mr. Kozar, you have to pay for that.
It looked like it was going to be Brian Hoyer for a minute.
Oh,
Oh,
God.
I mean, I know a lot of people didn't like him, but my thing was, look, did I like his mechanics and the way the decisions he made? Not really. My thing was this. We were winning games. Yeah. And we had we loved Derek Anderson for a year,
Ooh,
and he was worse than Hoyer.
Yeah, that's true. I looked at with Hoyer, it was he would have these great games.
And then he just looked terrible.
But then we lost to the Colts because he was fucking horrible.
And I remember having a discussion with my buddy. Actually, it's funny, the same buddy that doesn't like The Rock and Daniel Bryan hated Brian Hoyer, and I didn't hate him, but he's I did concede. I said that was 2014. I remember. Yeah, he lost us the game against the Colts, and that started the whole 5-game losing streak to end the year. Yeah. You were 6-3 after you beat we beat the Steelers 31-10 that year. We were 6-3, had a 2-game leading division. I mean, we're riding high right now, and then you go 1-5 to finish the year.
Mm-hmm. It was bad.
That's bad.
I also go back to, let's say, I'm thinking it could be Mayfield. Another thing that's really tripped us up over the past decade. We haven't won in Pittsburgh. The Cleveland Browns have not had a victory in Heinz Field.
We won one time since we've come back, right? 99. We beat them in 99.
Three Rivers. That's what I'm saying.
That's right. It's Three Rivers.
We have not won in.
God, I'm getting old.
I'm older, so we haven't won in Heinz Field. The closest one. I'll never forget watching it. Was that Derek Anderson year? It was one of those things that it came down to a field goal.
Yeah, that's okay.
I remember a close up of Roethlisberger on the sideline. So I don't remember. I don't remember who was kicking, but there was a close up of Roethlisberger on the sideline.
That Josh Brown that was kicking for Chris Brown, whatever the hell his name was.
I don't remember. I just remember somebody kicked it. And it was Ben Roethlisberger celebrating. I don't remember if we missed something or it was the Steelers. It might have been the Steelers kicked it, put them up, and then we would have to. It might have been actually at 0. It was one of those. It was close, but that's the close. I can't say the closest we've been. We also had Manziel's first year. I thought it was. He didn't play this game, but like we got blown out the first half. We got killed, and then we did a massive comeback in the second half. But we didn't win. That was the same year.
I think it was the first game of the year.
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
It was the same year
Yeah.
we did the same comeback, but we beat the Titans.
The Titans, like the next week.
Yeah. We were able to hit the record books for that one, but with the Steelers, it was like we were getting blown out, and that was Hoyer. And I was like, oh my God, like Hoyer's fucking done. Put in Manziel. Seriously? Like we're getting killed. It might have been like 30 or 40 to nothing. And then that second half, Hoyer came out, fucking balled.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, Hoyer.
Yeah,
like we didn't
seriously.
win, but fuck, you got us close.
Hey, you got us closer than like a lot of other fucking quarterbacks have. And that's another thing, like I said, like we're so hungry for a quarterback in this town. Like, yes, I understand Brian Hoyer was not the future. Johnny was the future at the time. Okay, at the time. You know, again,
He's not even the future of the CFL now.
No, he's not. And those Argonauts or whoever the hell he plays for, they're regretting,
Argos, yeah.
they're regretting that signing. But, you know, yeah, I didn't love the guy either. We were fucking winning. And I was just sick and tired of losing. I'm sick and tired of the Jake Delomes and the Seneca Wallaces and all these quarterbacks that come in and just get there. And what the hell was that one kid's name from Duke? Thaddeus Lewis. Like guys like that. I'm just sick and tired of all this shit. Charlie Fry.
Well, even the guys that we drafted.
I know.
Freaking Brady Quinn, Colt McCoy.
I was a huge Brady Quinn fan. I wanted him to pan out so bad.
Dude. Brandon Whedon. Here's my thing. When we drafted we drafted Quinn. I was like, oh my God, we got our quarterback. We got a good quarterback. Here we go.
Pedigree, he came from the winning program. Here we go.
And he didn't do as good. Then we drafted McCoy, and I'm like, oh, second chance. Here we go. Here we go. And to his credit, he's had a decent career.
Yeah, he's a very great backup. Yeah, he's a great backup.
And
franchise quarterback though, doesn't have the arm strength.
And then we drafted Whedon. I was like, nope.
No. He was 28 years old at the time. He was going to be 29 by week 4.
I was like, I was like, nope. I'm not.
This guy's a pitcher in the minor leagues. Let him go there.
I was like, I'm not getting behind this dude.
No, I couldn't. The fan in me was pissed, but I was also like, okay.
I was willing to be proved wrong.
Right. Exactly.
Which didn't happen.
I said, prove me wrong, Brandon Whedon, please. And no, he didn't. No. Outside of a few little bright spots here and there. I remember that first game against Philadelphia, watching this going like, what the fuck were they doing with this kid? He's not your answer. Like, how can you? I'm sitting here at a bar drinking my ass off because I'm sick and tired of watching this team, and I can see that this guy's no good.
Remember after we got rid of Whedon and he went to the Texans? And then he ended the season like playing for them, ended up playing in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I'll never forget this. Everyone was like, see, shouldn't have got rid of Hoyer. Look at him. He's in the playoffs and we're not. And then he laid a goose egg.
He laid a fucking ostrich egg. The thing was huge.
To everybody who was talking shit, I went, yep. That's the Brian Hoyer. That guy's in the playoffs, but you can't tell.
No, right, exactly.
Because he was horrible.
He only went there because O'Brien was his coach, and O'Brien helped him out in New England.
Yeah,
it's the only reason he went there.
Yeah. All right, let's start to wrap this up with our fave 5 questions. I can't wait till Booker T comes in here and I can actually. I'm actually gonna get his permission. I'm gonna be like, listen,
the five time questions.
I'm gonna we have our fave 5 questions, and as much as I love you, Booker, I know well enough that you always had your fave 5, but you always had more than 5, so there's 6 questions. Let's start with this one's good for you because I know you're a fan of this. I think I know your answer. Best physical portrayal of the Joker.
Oh, physical portrayal. Heath Ledger.
Okay.
I mean, they're all the only one here. The only one I don't like at all was Jared Leto. I thought he was a terrible Joker. I felt he tried to be Heath Ledger.
I felt like it was one of those things. Everybody before him was good.
Yes.
And he had nowhere to go.
He didn't, but at the same, it's just like that. That's why I'm kind of curious to see Joaquin Phoenix's portrayal of him. He
kind of looks like him.
Yeah.
Like when I see that, even him, just like with the longer hair without makeup, I go, ooh, I kind of see it.
Yeah. The Joker is such a mysterious character that's the beauty of playing a character like that. He doesn't have an origin story. He doesn't have a background.
No.
You come up with his origin story. You come up with his background. And that's why Heath Ledger literally gave his life for that performance. I think it's the greatest acting performance in cinematic history. But I mean, Jack was great. Mark Hamill's great on the video games. And
that's why I go physical portrayal, because he never donned the makeup.
Right.
And like for many days at a time.
But I played all those Arkham City games, man. And like, he's a great Joker.
Or even in the cartoons.
Right.
Because he did back then. Like he was really good, but that's where I difference because he never physically
Right.
put on. You know, people, well, if you watch like what he did at cons, he mimics them, like, but still, like, I feel like to be the Joker, like Heath Ledger did, or Nicholson did, or Caesar did, it takes a little bit more, and that's why I separate them.
That plays into why Heath was so great at it too. Just the way he moved, the way he talked when he told the origin stories of the scars both times. Just like the little things, the little things he did. Like everything he did was surrounded in chaos. Even just walking into a room with his shoulders hunched up, and it's like, and so it's all chaos.
Everything that he did in that movie, I've always said, it didn't feel like that was Heath Ledger. That felt like it was the Joker.
Yes.
The only time I sat there and watched it,
forget that it's Heath Ledger.
The only time it felt like the Joker, I mean, it felt like Heath Ledger, was the interrogation room. His makeup was run off. He had the lighting on him a little bit.
The first couple times you see him, it's like you don't know who the hell that is.
It looks like the
and what
the
he
Joker
did with his
as a
voice
character.
too. Oh yeah, God damn it, I love that.
I know. That's one of the great reasons why I asked you that. Question number 2 we'll go with, since this is going to be released right before Halloween, the Friday or the Thursday before. Addams Family or Munsters? It's really hard because I did a little bit of research on them. They actually were on TV like the same amount of time. They began and ended like within like a couple weeks of each other.
Just because I just for some reason watched them more, the Munsters.
Okay.
I loved Addams Family, but I was a big Nick at Night kid.
Okay, yeah.
So the Munsters had their own day. I remember during there was either Thursday or Wednesday. It was like Munster Wednesdays or something like that. And I really like that show, and I like the Addams Family too. But like I'll say the Munsters.
Okay. Let's go with we're around barbecue, and I'm a huge fan of wings.
Yes.
Bone in or out?
In.
Okay.
In. Boneless wings or chicken nuggets?
Yes.
They're lying to you.
I mean, I know people out there like, I prefer bone out, and I go, that's fine. That's fine. That's why I asked, but I know basically like if you go to Quaker Steak or wherever.
Give me a dozen Louisiana liquors.
Okay. Depends on my mood, but my go-to will always be barbecue for them. Actually, barbecue almost anywhere, but they have the sweetest tasting barbecue sauce.
Buckeye barbecue, Louisiana liquor, and Arizona ranch. Top 3.
Okay. For me, barbecue, Asian sesame.
That's good too. I like the Asian sesame.
It's like having Chinese without having Chinese.
Right.
So it's like a nice mix.
It's Chinese food that actually fills you up.
And then
I love that Buckeye barbecue, man.
It's been a while since I've had that. I think Arizona Ranch, because like it gives you the kick.
Yes.
But not as much. I think Arizona Ranch or whatever higher, that or the Buckeye barbecue.
I think Buckeye barbecue is a little bit higher.
I think that's the highest I've ever gone.
Okay.
I've got nothing about
I have done the Atomic Wing, and it was one of the biggest mistakes of my life.
Dude, I have a friend that I used to work with, and this was before the Triple Atomic.
I haven't had
so it's
that.
even worse. He would go order, because normally when people get the Atomic Wings, they get the little 6er or 9er, or no, it's 6er. That's so they can get on, like they'll do the minimum. This guy has openly told me he will go in and order a compact bucket.
What is wrong
of
with
Atomic Wings? And sometimes he'll order 2. And literally,
more power to you, brother. But I couldn't do that. I like my insides way too much.
The story that I remember him telling me.
Imagine on the toilet the next morning.
Hold on, here's what it is. Oh. I remember him telling me like he would order it, and then you would hear like you'd see the waiter go into the kitchen, and then you hear, "What the fuck?" Like by someone seeing his order. And he always said, like, the first few were tough to get through, but after that, he says his face was so numb, he's just popping. I mean, yeah, he always said he paid for it the next day.
Yeah, I'd imagine so.
All right, question number 4. You know what? Since he's here tonight, we're going to ask you the AJ Gray question. Ooh. If you know enough about AJ Gray, this guy has the hottest takes in the world. What are your hot takes?
What are my hot takes?
Yeah, basically, I say it's unpopular opinions, where you're just like, this is how I feel. I don't care how you feel.
I hate Machine Gun Kelly.
Okay.
Absolutely hate him.
Okay.
I kind of know him a little bit from growing up because, like, he spent a lot of time in the Mayfield area growing up, and the family that he lived with was one of my best friends. So I kind of I've known him since like we were 13. And then once he blew up a little bit, and then I remembered who he was, I was like, okay, I'll give him a second chance. And then, like, just a couple of times around him, I was like, yeah, I don't like you. I don't like the way you represent Cleveland. I don't like the way you represent Ohio. I don't like the music you put out. I just don't like you in general. So I don't like MGK.
Let's talk about it.
No, let's not talk about it because it was a cute little song, the bob your head too. But then Marshall came out and did what Marshall does. He's the GOAT. He's Odin, and he just slayed him.
Ooh, the Odin.
Yes, he is the All-Father.
I've never heard any. That is.
He says it in Rap God. You be Thor, I'll be Odin.
I never even thought about it like that.
Go ahead. I mean, that's why everyone was like, "Why did it take him so long to come back?" Come back because he's Eminem. He doesn't have to come out with it right away. He does things on his terms.
Because he wasn't sitting on it like MGK was.
Right.
Literally, like there's a chorus in there that he used on another song.
Right.
Which means
MGK only did all this stuff for publicity to try and get some recognition. Because Diddy does to him, though he does to every other artist that he signs. They get big for a hot minute, and then you never hear from him again.
Yeah.
He's another example of it. So, that's another pretty hot take.
The crazy thing about that, I don't think it's that much of a hot take.
Not that.
Like, actually, like on Rap Devil, not Rap Devil, Killshot, when he said, I have more fans in your own hometown, I was I was like, ah! All right, so we got two more. We'll get through them real quick. Not too hard. Question number 5. The Wilkman question from the Kick Out of 2 podcast: is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
No, it's not. If Die Hard's a Christmas movie, so is Lethal Weapon, because it takes around the same place, and so is Rocky IV, because he fights Drago on Christmas Day. It's not a Christmas movie.
But what is your favorite Christmas movie?
Christmas Vacation.
Okay.
I mean, it's such a good movie. I will watch it during the 4th of July. I know it's a full-blown Christmas movie. It's that good of a movie. I'll watch it any day of the year.
Okay. Yeah.
Cousin Eddie, man.
I'm weird, though, when it comes to the National Lampoon's movie. It's not technically National Lampoon's movie, but it's the Griswolds. My favorite, Vegas Vacation.
Vegas Vacation is good.
It was on Amazon. I watched it. I was like, oh my God, I love this.
From beginning to end, I laughed during Christmas Vacation, so that's why I got to say that.
All right, question number 6, which is always tailored around my guest. I'm trying to figure out a good one from you. Between the Cleveland Indians, Cleveland Browns, and the Cleveland Cavaliers.
You're going to do this to me.
No. Between the three, who's winning the next championship for Cleveland?
Oh.
Is it going to be the Cleveland Cavaliers, which we don't know how well they're going to do or how long it's going to take?
I'm interested to see how they're going to do, but...
is it going to be the Cleveland Indians, who have just did 3 stints in the World Series, or do we have the last year 0-16 Cleveland Browns?
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, logic says the Indians, because they play in just a horrible division, but I don't think Houston's going anywhere, and so...
Yeah.
I think
the turnaround in football, you can go from last to first.
You know what? I believe in the power of Baker. I'm going to say the Browns.
Ooh, nice.
Just because I just want to see one Super Bowl before I die. Just one, man,
Dude,
please.
Me too. Just let's get in it. Anyway, let's wrap this show up. Any final thoughts or last minute plugs before we go?
Follow me on Twitter, Be the Excellence. Facebook's Brian Carson. Instagram, The Brian Carson. I know I'm on borrowed time with these concussions, but as long as I'm in the ring, you're going to see excellence be personified.
And then just watch out if someone chops you.
Yeah, and not in the stomach this time, motherfucker.
My bad.
Oh, my God.
All right, man. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, buddy.
Hey guys, Righteous Jesse here from the Kick Out of 2 podcast. And after you get done listening to Wrestling Cheers, where everybody knows your name, you should come on over and check out an episode of the Kick Out of 2 podcast. Maybe you want to hear Stevie Richards talk about conspiracy theories. Maybe you're in the mood to hear Dr. Dan read 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. We got you covered on both of those, as well as interviews from Mandy Fernandez, Jimmy Rave, Tommy End, Chris Hero, Al Snow, and so many others. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at KOAT Podcast, and you can check us out on iTunes and SoundCloud.
And there you have it, the interview with Excellence Personified, Brian Carson. A huge thank you and shout out to Brian Carson for coming on this podcast. You know, we've had a long history, him and I, and, you know, we finally buried the hatchet last year. And, you know, since then, we've built a friendship up, and it's been really cool. So there was a question, too, that was asked before the interview from Chef Jim, which we did not ask, and I should have put it in. It's one of those moments I'm kind of too wrapped up in what I'm actually doing to think of like certain things. And Chef Jim actually asked Brian Carson what his record was. So you get a chance, tweet him at BeTheExcellence and ask him what his record is on behalf of us here at Wrestling Cheers. So one more shout out to Chef Jim from the Gorilla Barbecue. I can't wait to try them out. So let's end this show. Let's wrap it all up and put a bow on it. Please rate and review wherever you're listening to this podcast at. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, YouTube, Spotify, maybe iHeartRadio and Podbean, WrestlingCheers.podbean.com. You can get a hold of us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, Facebook.com/WrestlingCheers, Twitter.com/WrestlingCheers, and Instagram.com/WrestlingCheers. Email, if you so choose to desire, WrestlingCheers@gmail.com. And we have the merch store over at whatamaneuver.net. A little, maybe kind of programming note. It's something we've mentioned on Twitter, and it's something that I want to announce officially here on the podcast. There'll be more info coming in a matter of 3 or 4 weeks. We'll talk about it one more time. And basically, I try to plan a lot of stuff ahead. I have episodes already planned up till the end of the year. And even I'm starting to plan things in January already. And I wanted to do something special for December. This will be the end of our first full year doing, episodes every single week. We've had some bonus episodes, and, we have some time between Hell on Earth and the last AIW show of the year. There's going to be 3 weeks, 3 episodes in between the review for Hell on Earth and the preview for whatever the December show is named. So what are we going to do? I decided to do a little special interview series. I'm not going to talk 100% of what the original concept was, but it kind of morphed into the Southern Underground Pro Month. Us here at Wrestling Cheers are big fans of Southern Underground Pro. So I have worked on 3 interviews for those particular weeks. And I want to hear from you of who you want to be on the podcast. Now, yes, I do have the 3 planned out. To be honest, it's a way to see who's going to be right, like who's going to guess the 3. And if I get other names than the 3 that I want on, it kind of gauges some interest to people that I want on, people I want to work with. But these will be the only interviews that we're going to do where they're going to be over computer. Now, normally when we do the preview episodes and review episodes, they are done online. We do we have an app that we use now called Discord, and we all convene in there, and we jump into a voice chat, and we record the episode there. It's going to be a little bit different for these 3 wrestlers. None of them, live in Ohio. I don't know when the next time I'm going to ever see them, and I'll be blatantly honest, they don't wrestle in Northeast Ohio. Part of the reason why I want them to be previewed or highlighted, whatever you want to say. So that's something that's going on. So I'd like to hear from you. Find us on our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Let us know who you think is going to be the 3 or who you want the 3 to be. And, we will go from there. So also, back into everything else, check out our friends on the Trending Topics Network, such as All Beer Inside, Eurovision Showcase, and Chill, and Old School at the Movies. Check out our other podcast friends, such as Pod Van Dam, Benefits of Podcasting, Center Stage, Super Fantastic Podcast, The Road Home from Wrestling, Kick Out at 2, The IndieCast, So Bro Network, and the Big Gold Belt Podcast. And check out our other non-podcasting friends, such as Thrift Store Jobber, Rebel Life Media, The Savage Stash, Set Tab Photo, Ringside Shots Photography, Sickening Pictures, Iron Tiger MMA, and the official graphic designer of Wrestling Cheers, Moy Boy Designs. That will do it for us here on Wrestling Cheers, where everybody knows your name, especially when you are the Odin. Later.
Making your way in the world today takes everything you got. Taking a break from all your worries sure would help a lot. Would you like to get away? Sometimes you wanna go away.